Hey, so we just had elections the other day. Can you go to the next slide? This is a billboard that Okay, so if you're not in the here, let me lay this out. The guy on the right, John Fetterman. So he is now going to be the newest senator from Pennsylvania. And oh my God! All right, hang on.
Wait. This isn't. we're definitely not here to say go Fetterman.
No, that's not about that. There, but listen. But here's the deal. His opponent had this really cool advertisement campaign about Fetterman, which is really pretty hilarious, actually. The billboard right there: soft on skin, soft on bottoms, soft on crime. I mean, that's pretty cool, actually. You gotta love that. And so the idea is soft on crime. And we thought, soft on crime. Hey, Oz's critique in one of his, in many of his commercials was that Fetterman is really into letting lots of people out of prison, including murderers, letting murderers out of prison. And I'm like, that's really interesting. How would I think about that?
I think you could just go to the next.
If I didn't, how would I think about it if I just didn't really know? Just letting murderers out of prison. So next slide. Here is a photo of Lori with two gentlemen with whom she was working on a project up at Rockview Prison. And on the left is Irvin Moore, on the right is Will Hall. Will Hall is no longer in Rockview, but these became your friends, your guys.
Family.
Family. And this photo was taken probably 10 years ago, 12 years ago maybe? A while ago, 10 years ago? Yeah. So anyway, so we thought, there's a couple murderers and who are friends of Lori's. And then I thought, well,
and wait, so what was the point? The murder? I guess go one more time.
That Fetterman is soft on crime because he's supporting letting criminals, including murderers, out of prison. And so it just so happens that the guy on the left is out, and because I'm recognized as one of the 101 most dangerous professors in America, he's here in class with us today. And we're going to have a conversation with him.
Come on up, Irvin Moore.
More importantly, though, Cora is here.
My question is, where is this dangerous murderer sitting amongst us? Not the man with the dog. Not the man with the beautiful smile.
The awesome swag.
Not the most handsome one of those two up there. But yes, here he is, and here I am. Go ahead.
Yeah, come on.
So we're going to talk today about crime with Cora. This is Cora with a K.
Come on. Sit down.
Her birthday was May 11th, 2020.
Yes.
So she's young.
A little over 2 years.
So the interesting thing about Irvin, besides that he's a murderer, I shouldn't make anyway, is that his life path crossed life paths with Mr. Fetterman. So we're not here to talk about Mr. Fetterman, but he does have a personal relationship to you, Irvin. So why don't you start there and then tell us a little bit about your story?
We do have a relationship because I would not be here today if it was not for Lieutenant Governor Fetterman and the Board of Parole, the Board of Pardons, who granted me a pardon in March of 2021. Which will mean I've been out here in what we call the world for about 18 months, 17, 18, 19 months.
And how long were you in there?
I was about to tell them that, but I was incarcerated for 52 years. And I'm going to let that sink in first. I went to prison in 1969. Before man walked on the moon, before your mothers and fathers heard of Woodstock, before you were even a thought, and probably before some of your mothers and fathers were even alive. That's when I went to prison. Now, and I know it's hard to believe, it's incredulous. Say, this young-looking, so handsome man could not possibly have served 52 long years in prison. But believe me, I did. And it was because of the lieutenant governor, because of his mindset regarding not being soft on crime, but his mindset regarding the humanity that needs to be the approach to criminal justice, which has not existed for over 40 years. There are men like myself, well, to begin with, again, because of Lori, because of Sam, who are virtually my brother and sister, they put the idea in my head about 16, 17 years ago that, you know, when you come out, not if, but when you come out of prison, you could come work for us at Penn State University. And it's not that that was a grandiose thought or something inconceivable, because I could do that. And I started thinking, you know, I could do that. You know, I can do that. And then I will do that. And today, even though I don't work for World in Conversation, which is what I intended to do and wanted to do, I work for Penn State University. I work for the College of Education, Department of Education and Social Equity, Restorative Justice Initiative. Think about that. I work for an office who deals with restorative justice. Not punitive justice, not deterrence, but restorative justice. A new concept, and one that a lot of people thought I fit the bill for. I may have some experience along those lines.
I think we, just real quickly, I don't think you said that you had a life sentence. Which is really important.
Again, I made the assumption that they would have known that, but I was serving a life sentence. And what does that mean? Intentionally or otherwise, you kill somebody, you cause someone the death of someone, you could be found guilty of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, third-degree murder. I was found guilty of first-degree murder. Whether or not I intended for this to happen, I was a young boy with a gun. Some of the same things that you see happening today in our major cities. Young boys with guns. And not intending something like this to happen, but it did. And I went to court and I wound up being found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life. And unlike so many other states, life in Pennsylvania is and has always been life. Not life without the benefit of parole. They don't have to say that. Life in Pennsylvania, since its inception, has always been until you die. So someone thought that I, at the age of 22, which is the same age that some of you guys are now, someone thought that I and my life was irredeemable, that I would be no good for anyone, nowhere, at any time, ever, and that I deserved to die in prison.
And I just want to amplify that statement while you're listening. You know, are people irredeemable, right? Like, not that's not a rhetorical question, that's a real one. So as Irvin is talking, are people irredeemable? Or when? Or who is irredeemable?
And because, say, Dr. Oz or politicians, you know, they use semantics, they use emotions, and they flare passions. And because they use the term and the word murderer, and that Lieutenant Governor Fetterman was soft on crime, allowing murderers to re-enter our society. Let me give you a brief explanation of what I've been doing since I've been home. Working for Restorative Justice Initiative, I do what I'm doing now. I'm doing what we would like a host of you guys to do once you sign up for World in Conversation, which is facilitate dialogue. I talk to people. More importantly, I listen to people. I do that at Restorative Justice Initiative. I do that separate and distinct and aside from them. I do that every day of my life. I talk to people. Part of what I talk to them about, of course, is my experience. 52 years of being in prison, and I went to prison when prison was prison.
Tell us about that.
There were no books. There was no library. There was no school. There was no radio. There was no television. I, being young, got into a couple scraps, wound up in the hole. And all you guys know what the hole is, yes? Separate and distinct from general population, the hole is where they place you for punishment. And I was in the hole, in a cell, 6 foot by 8 foot, concrete block, steel. Only thing in there was a mattress on the floor with no sheet, a blanket, and a toilet. That was it.
And a what?
A toilet.
A toilet.
A toilet. I was in a toilet, and that's where they wanted me to sleep and stay. As they fed me breakfast, which consists of 2 pieces of white bread and a cup of coffee. And they fed me supper, which consisted of 2 pieces of bread and a cup of coffee. And they fed me lunch. Once the supper was done, and they closed the door, then they rolled a wooden door on the outside of that across it so that all light was taken from the cell. And I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. And I would sit there on that mattress, 22 years old, and say, Lord, Lord, why? Why? Who am I? Sometimes my mind would shoot to a period in my life when I was sitting at home with my parents and my brothers and sisters with a bowl of cereal, just laughing. It seemed like yesterday. And then here I was in a cell with my drawers, underwear, otherwise naked, on a mattress with the crumblings of a piece of bread that I had compressed in the palm of my hand that I could nibble on it. That was the penitentiary then. It's changed a bit, quite a bit, in fact. But even with all the changes, jail is still jail, prison is still prison. It's still not a place I would wish my worst enemy, though I am not, at this point in my life and growth and development, a proponent of the abolition of prisons. And I tell you why. Prisons right now are a necessary adjunct to civilization because not every human being needs to be out here. I have met some of the greatest human beings in my life, walking the halls of prison on both sides, guards and what we used to call inmates. Now we may call them justice impacted persons. But I met some of the best that I've ever met in my life or will ever meet. Concurrently, I have met the face of evil inside, and I do not want to see that face out here. So, until something can happen in the minds of man that causes us to change who we are, or realize that we as human beings have a role to play in terms of being responsible in a civilized community, we need to have prisons.